Hello everyone, this is SFGA Dude calling in from Chicago. Just here today to create a tutorial on how to use a Nintendo 64 emulator, and this software is Project 64, the version 1.6. This is a school project, so bear with me if some parts become boring. This is not mainly for entertainment. Now, the whole idea of an emulator, in all seriousness, is the idea of copying software from another device and is able to run it on a different device equally as good, if not better. Most emulators, unfortunately, do not work that well with most types of software. Like, most people try and use the N64 emulators such as Mupin 64 version 1.04 for like a Android phone, and that usually is very lackadaisical. It's not very smooth. Most N64 emulators, with the exception to a few games, like ones I'm going to show you, like Top Gear Rally, they are very, very smooth, and great way to run your Nintendo 64 games without having much trouble and saving a few dollars in the process. According to Wikipedia, the definition of emulation is an ambition and effort to equal, excel, or surpass another, to compete or rival with some degree of success, especially through imitation. It's also defined by Wikipedia as the low-level simulation of equipment or phenomena by artificial means, such as software by modeling. Now, note that this simulation may also allow for an abstract high-level model. Like, say you're using, like per se, a roller coaster. They're designing a roller coaster, and they need software to emulate exactly what the roller coaster will do in real life. So they will make a 3D model and track run on exactly what the coaster will do. Now, what I'm showing you right now is the actual N64 game taken from a capture box. This isn't mine. It's credit to the YouTube user who's named on screen there. Now, the main reason emulation is so far sought after is easy access to games that they could normally use with like a gaming platform, such as like the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Nintendo 64, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color. Those are all available via emulation. Many people want N64 emulators to play their favorites, such as like Banjo-Kazooie, for instance, which was one of my favorites, or Wave Runner 64, Top Gear Rally, all those things. Project 64 can be acquired in multiple ways, but the easiest way is via internet and digital download. So what you're going to want to do is either go to a Project 64 forum that will contain, either in different posts and such, the different levels of Project 64, depending on if you want to homebrew something, like use software that wasn't compatible with the newer software, like the original 1.0. But the main way to get it is just from Project 64's website itself. There are also many other emulators you could use, like Mupin 64. There's also a few other different party softwares that you can use, but I found Project 64 to have the most success rate for all the games that I want to play. Okay, now that you have Project 64 downloaded, you're able to go find the games, and the games come in the file type of, it's called a ROM file or a ROM. These can be found at many different websites, and I know some of you are worried about copyright and rights to download this, but since these games are not produced anymore, this format at least, some you may run into trouble with, like say PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 emulators. You may run into some trouble with licensing and such that you need to buy, but as long as you have proof of the purchase, you should be okay. Nintendo 64 is very safe because they don't produce the games anymore. Okay, so once you go to the website, you're able to download any type of game, usually alphabetical order, as most websites have it. After you're finished with that, you put the ROMs files into a folder, which the program is able to access while you're actually in the program itself, as it's shown here. You're able to search the different games you have, and the program, at least Project 64, will check to see if there are any troubleshoots with the new 1.6. Since this software is very old, especially working with Windows 7 64-bit I have here, most programs or plugins will be very hard to work with, and some of them may not even work at all because they were either written for Windows 2000, Windows XP, you know, to Vista even. I mean, it's just all over the map, so you may have to rewrite some different programs or some different plugins to get them to actually work. But luckily, this is pretty straightforward. Now what's being shown here is the actual N64 gameplay of a video game called Top Gear Rally. And you notice that most of since the first video capture of this game, a lot of the scenery and such is very uneven and not well rounded. The graphics aren't too up to date. But let's compare it and see compared to an emulator version and see what you guys think. This emulator version now is being shown. It's at the same track at night with a different car, but you can see that there's a difference in decals and different types of you know, landscapes and graphics filters that make it look a lot more polished and smooth. This is what you can do with emulators, but the problem with this game is that the audio plugin doesn't work. There's no sound. So when you try it, there is one plugin that would work, but it's so old. It was made in 2003, so that the software isn't written properly for Windows 7 or XP even, I don't think. So that won't work. Okay, so after you download your ROM file and you have it in the folder, be ready to play in the queue, you just click on it a few times and the program will start emulating. And once it starts emulating as shown here, you're able to then control the game and you have complete control over everything. You can access cheat codes from the main menu, as I will show you in a second. You also have different graphics and audio filters, as I explain later. You can even customize the keyboard to the controls of the game, and this is just really well written, at least for the time it was made. Okay, so now that you have the emulator actually running and you know how to control everything, what you can do is put it on pause, as I will show you in a second here. And now you're able to actually dig deeper into what this program is actually meant for. This emulation program can be used in a number of different ways, especially this is from a desktop computer, but Android phones are also capable of using this. I think they go as low as Android 1.4, which is the device that I have and that I use it on. This N64 emulator is very useful, let's say, if you're on the road, so you don't have to lug the system everywhere. But I'll just show you a few last-minute things here. One is that you can easily exit the program with Alt F4, as all programs can be accessed. You can easily just stop the emulation and go to another one, as I'll show you in a second here. And you can also even set up different graphic mods, like shown here with the R35 Skyline in Top Gear Rally, as it's shown with the different paint colors, and the Porsche 959 on the left there. But yeah, that's pretty much it, how to use an emulator. I mean, that's basic steps. If you have any questions or comments, concerns, or any critiques to throw my way, just leave them in the comment section below, up, down, and subscribe if you'd like the video. Use an emulator. Take a ride on the thrifty side.
Oh!